do in their window, watching the moon come up and the moon go down and going from day to night. Another one that has great fun to do is 1947, The Little Island. Margaret Wise Brown. You'll see her pictures a lot. She won a lot of things. And she did it in Gouache. Gouache? Is that how you say it? Do you know? Gouache. I don't know how to say it for sure. But anyway, it's a little island in the ocean and talks about the seasons. And here again, you can go on the internet and get a whole lesson plan if you want to. Just like I showed you the other one, art and science. This could be used at any level. I saw it used in an 8th grade. Math, wind, the wind comes, what causes wind. Right now, we had a bomb cyclone go through Utah, and they would never had a bomb cyclone before. It'd be a good way to introduce weather. Here's this little island out there by itself and how the weather affects it. And that was a winner in 1947. One that's very appropriate for what's coming is 1948. This is called White Snow, Bright Snow. And the pictures are done acetate and India ink. So you could actually do some of those in your classroom and with India ink and acetate and yellow, red, and black. And it's just simply the delight of a first snowstorm. That's all it is, as simple as that. It starts to snow and how excited kids get. And to be a wonderful one to read on the day, whether you're in 8th grade, 10th grade, it's snowing. And everybody's always excited about snowing. In 1948, another one that was an honor book was Stone Soup. This is one you can really use to think with. And David Southa loved this one. This boy is hungry. This lady has a big pot, but she's not going to share with him. So how can he get her to make some soup? So she has a big pot of water, and what does he do? He brings a stone, and they put it in the water. And one by one, he convinces her to put in a couple of carrots, some cabbage. One by one, she goes to her garden and brings things in. And pretty soon, of course, they have soup. So it's using your thinking cap. It's a fairy tale how the boy tricks the lady into making him a pot of soup because he's hungry. And then it also came out in another picture like this called Stone Soup, because the Chinese children loved this book so much that they did it in pictures that mean more to them. So it's a multicultural book, but yet it's the same story of Stone Soup. And I'll bet you that most of you have heard about Blueberries for Sal, written by Robert McCluskey again. And it's simply the story of this little child going out in the blueberry bushes, done in black and white. He didn't want to interfere with anything, picking blueberries. And of course, the more he eats, the more he gets. And then what comes along, somebody else likes blueberries too. What do you do when there's a bear in the blueberry patch? And it's called Blueberries for Sal. So those were the winners in the 30s and the 40s. Simple books that could be used a lot at different levels. Let's look at the Caldecots from the 50s, and then we'll take a break. Remember, Brenda, you can't buy these all. I love to tease Brenda because I need that one, I need that one, I need that one. Okay, in the 50s, we have the Song of the Swallows. Now, this one could be used at any level. Do you remember when the swallows go to Capistrano? I'm getting books here. I've got to move things around so that I can make you see it better. Right there. It's the story of the swallows that come back every year to Capistrano. And And this little boy just simply follows the story of how they come every year, and every year they leave. And both the author and the illustrator won that year. And it's simply tempera. You have tempera paint in your room. And it's the story of them leaving San Juan Capistrano. Every year the swallows come, and there's a song, and every year the swallows leave. And that was the winner in 1950. Dr. Seuss won in 1952. He was an honor book, and he won Bartholomew and the Obelisk. And both the author and the illustrator. And it's just watercolor with pencils and crayons. Things you have in your classroom right now. Black and white, watercolors, pencils, and crayons. So Dr. Seuss won an honor book. The king wants to rule the sky and what comes down from the sky. So he has the magicians make greenish globs. And what was the purpose? So have the children think about why would a greenish glob help him? I won't tell you the answer. I'm sure you probably already know it. In 1951 was the egg tree. And this was done with tempera and paint. And it's very colorful and pretty. This is a Pennsylvania farm. If they don't know about the, what are they called? Not Puritans,
Pilgrims?
what?
Pilgrims?
Pilgrims, no?
Amish.
Amish, thank you. That's the word. It went out of my head. Exactly right. A lot in Pennsylvania, how they are very hard workers in their life. Thank you for that. And they live there with their cousins, and they have an Easter egg hunt, and they find something very special in the attic. So what would you find in an attic? What would be special? And what can we do for an Easter egg hunt? In 1951, here came Dr. Seuss again. If I Ran the Zoo. And the artwork is, again, watercolor, pencils, and ink. It's the story of a boy who dreams about owning a zoo, and what kind of changes would he make if he ran the zoo? Also, Dick Whittington and his cat, Marcia Brown. You'll see her name many, many times. She wins a lot. This one is a boy that has nothing. He's penniless. And we do have children right now sleeping in tents. There's a little boy in Salt Lake for 7 years old. He's never had a real house. He sleeps in a tent by the school. But anyway, he sends his cat out to try if he can catch mice so they can sell them and make a fortune. The animal becomes a hero, and they do get, they reap a good fortune. So Dick Whittington and his cat. In 53 was the biggest bear. And here's a boy that takes in a cub. And of course, what happens to a cub? It grows big. And now that it's big, what do I do with it? It was all done in watercolor, and then that word again, C-O-U-C-H-E, Gouache? I'm not sure how you say it, G-O-U-A-C-H-E. I really don't know. I'm not an artist. Any of you out there an artist and know how to say G-O-U-A-C-H-E the right way? I don't. But here's this little bit. What?
Gouache.
Gouache? Gouache, is that it?
Gouache.
Uh-huh. And
No,
of course,
that's not the person. That's the type of.
yeah, that's the type of artwork.
Yeah, it's called gouache.
Gouache. Gouache. Thank you. Gouache. It just becomes bigger, and of course, as it gets bigger, it gets into things. So what happens when your animals get bigger? And just a good, fun story. I bet you've heard this one too. Puss in Boots. And When Frog Went A-Courting. That was the winner in 1956. The artwork is brush and ink and crayons. And Frog Goes A-Courting, and of course that's a rhyme, and you can sing it, and it's great fun. Then the last one we're going to look at right now is called A Tree is Nice. How many people have a tree in their yard? And how did it get there? And what do you do about it? And there's a little tree starting. And then again, here's a lesson plan that goes along with it for art, for math, for how tree guides. It could lead into a science lesson. So any of those could be used in different levels all along the way. And those are the Caldecott winners for 30, 40, 50. And it's time to take a break. We'll come back and look at the Newberries and close up pretty soon. So take a break now and then look on Canvas to see what I put there so that you can see the resources I put there for you if you want to use any of that.
Hey, Louise.
Yes,
I'm working on my book log. Just to clarify, each week we are supposed to choose 15 to 20 different books. Is that correct?
No,
Oh.
that's not correct.
That's what it says on the syllabus. For each class, we have to choose different,
Yeah. For
so
this
you
book,
just want 15 altogether?
for tonight, it says, in your log, write 15 of your favorite books, children, adolescent, or informational text. So any 15 that's your favorite. For next week, you're going to look at possibly 20 books. If you'd rather have more up here and less down here, it doesn't matter to me. It has to total close to 100, but it doesn't have to be exactly what this says. This is how SUU set it up, that 15 of your favorite books. Next week, 20 books that are showing how they're well written or well illustrated. And then the next one, put 20 picture books or poetry books. Then the next one is 20 books of traditional or modern fantasy. The next one is 15 contemporary realistic fiction, historical fiction, or biographies. And the last class is 10 multicultural, international, or controversial books. I didn't even show that to you. Let me show you again. Excuse me. Let me go back and show you where I was. I was on the wrong thing. Let me go back and show you again. These are just suggestions. They would like you to, next week, in your log, put 15 of your favorite books. See where it says right there, 15 favorite children, adolescent, or informational texts. The next week, they'd like you to have maybe 20 books that are you consider well written or well illustrated or go along with history. The third week, they'd like you to maybe come up with 20 books by picture books or poetry. So you have a sample of poetry. The fourth class, they think you might want to do 20 books of traditional fantasy, modern fantasy, or what motivates students to read. They go right along with the chapters that we're reading. The fifth class is 15 and is contemporary, realistic, historical, bibliographies, biographies. And then the last one is 10 for informational, multicultural, international. They're just suggestions. If you need more picture books and less informational, that's fine with me. They just suggest it that way so that you will get a sampling of all kinds. Does that make more sense now?
Yes. On Canvas, the only page to turn it in is on a discussion board, and that's for all of the week's book talks, or book logs. Is that where you want us to post them?
No, you don't post them at all. You put them in your log, whatever you want to use to keep it, whether it's going to be a notebook, whether it's going to be, and yet you will write on there, I collected 20 books or 15 books. That's all I need to know, that you did it. However you want to keep it, on cards, on the internet, in your mind. Of course, you'll forget them that way. But how are you going to remember now what you talked about as a well-read book? You could follow that example at the end. Excel spreadsheet. Yeah. Does that make better sense?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah. You can use this form like that so that you can go back and look at it. I just use a great big notebook I have that. Okay, go ahead. Question?
So Louise, I wanted to ask you, so if I were to, because I was thinking of doing a spreadsheet, that way I don't lose it, because I always lose all my stuff. How would I share that with you to show you, or do we need to worry about that?
All you have to do is tell me. I now have my 100 books. I trust you. You're adults. You're not going to cheat. If you cheat, you're losing out, not me. You need to write down the books that you're going to use later.
Well, and I'm still a little concerned that Brendy's going to try to buy all 100 books.
I know,
So that's
Brindy
kind of
buys it
bothering me.
all, I know it, Brindy's our millionaire.
I wish I was. That would be awesome. I'd
I
have
know,
like
there's
3 libraries in my house.
Uh-huh, yep, yep, whatever you want, however you want to keep it, so that someday you can go back and find them.
Louise, can we post something though so that we could share those with others?
Oh, yes, yeah, it'd be nice if you want to post and say, I found a book called About a Tree, it's called A Tree is Nice, and I used it to teach about the trees in our, yeah, if you can help other people, so much the better, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't want to make it burdensome that you're working and doing all this posting. I want you reading and making your own file so you can find them next year when you get ready to talk about the trees or the weather or the big black bear. Make sense, anybody? Hope it's making sense? Okay. There's many ways you can keep your file, whatever works for you. This is just an example of author, illustrator, the title, did it win awards? Just that's just an example. Okay, take your break so we can move around, get a drink. We'll talk about Newberries.
When you start the Newberries, will you tell us what the difference between the Newberries and the Caldecots are?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. Newberries are just for art. Doesn't matter what the story is. Story,
okay.
Story could stink, but the artwork is what they want on it.
Artwork is so subjective.
Yes, yes, it really is. Yes, uh-huh. Yeah, what's pretty and what isn't pretty to some people, uh-huh. Exactly. Exactly. You have 2 more minutes. Okay, we're going to test your memory a minute now. Look at your canvas. Look at these well-known authors. The Newbery Award is given annually to the author of the most distinguished contribution to American literature during that year. No limitations as to the character of the book except it be original. Now, what they do is they send out books to read, and for years I got to be a reader. I don't know if I ever chosen any book, but I would be sent maybe 40, 50 books a week or a month to read and give my opinion. And there's committees, there's probably a committee of 50 people that read, I don't know how many thousands of books they read every year. And they choose it on, is it excellent in quality? Now that's pretty vague. Is it individually distinct? Is it marked by excellence or eminence? Is it noted for significant achievement? You can have co-authors, but it must be original. See if you can name one book to these authors. These are some of the best known authors out there. Look down this list for a minute. See if you can identify a book they wrote. What's the name of the book that Wilson Rawls wrote, that Beverly Cleary wrote, that Beatrice Potter wrote? Okay, do you understand what we're doing? For a few minutes, you're going to write down a book that each one of these authors wrote. Understood? Okay, you have a couple of minutes. See if you know these names.
Louise, I came in a moment late. What posting is that?
It's on Canvas. Go to Canvas, go to Mosler's, and there's andragogy, and then there's 7 P's of learning. Then the next one is pre-assessment. Name one book for each author. Number 1, right here.
Okay, found it. Thank you.
The answers will be next. Don't go to the answers yet, Jesse. Wait till we name one author for these. See if you know these authors. Couple more minutes. Just, do I know these names? Are the names sounding familiar?
I think there might be a misspelling.
Which one?
Gary Paulson, isn't that Paulson? Like, I'm thinking,
Supposed to be PAU, I think.
yeah, because if it's the one I'm thinking.
Of course, this one just died. No, I think it's POU. I think he just died. I'll check that thing.
It's PAU.
That's what I was thinking, PAU, uh-huh, yeah.